So we'll conclude this section on women and girls with some more specific attention to educating girls. As we said, educating girls and family planning seem to be almost equal in terms of their overall need in climate solutions and drawdown. The ranking by 2050 is at number 6 with 59.6 gigatons in expected reduction of CO2 by then in 30 years. There are some really amazing examples around the world. This is one from Kenya. Kenya has made significant gains in education with more than 80% of all boys and girls currently enrolled in primary schools. In secondary schools, the rate of enrollment drops to 50% for both boys and girls. Poverty is the main cause of low overall enrollment, and given socioeconomic norms, boys receive priority for higher education when there are financial constraints. So this is the same story across the world in the global south, in all developing countries. But there are some really important points to be noted when girls are educated. So here is a good paragraph from the chapter. Education also shores up resilience in terms of climate change impacts. I mentioned the example of India and reduced vulnerability based on women's education to natural climatic hazards, which are getting worse over time because of climate change. Something the world needs as warming mounts, education of girls. Across low-income countries, there is a strong link between women and the natural systems at the heart of family and community life. Women often and increasingly play roles as stewards and managers of food, soil, trees, and water. Okay, this is what they see as their role. As educated girls become educated women, they can fuse inherited traditional knowledge with new information accessed through the written word. As cycles of change play out in the times to come, new diseases blighting fruit trees, soil composition shifting in garden plots, altered seed sowing times, educated women can marshal multiple ways of knowing to observe, understand, re-evaluate, and take action to sustain themselves and those who depend on them. So, educate women, then family finance, family health, society, neighborhood, community, everything tends to slowly get better. This is the star from Afghanistan, or was it? She was shot in the face for advocating schooling for girls, Malala Yousafzai, an activist for girls' education who was born in Swat Valley in northern Pakistan. Largely educated by her father, Yousafzai was recognized early in life by the global community for her commitment to education rights under the specter of Taliban's growing influence in this Swat Valley. I don't know why I'm having trouble saying it. Swat Valley. In October 2012, a Taliban gunman attempted to assassinate Yousafzai as she was riding a bus home after taking an exam. Malala is the youngest recipient of the Nobel Peace Prize and continues both her studies and work through the Malala Fund, which aims to secure 12 years of safe, quality education for girls the world over. She said, I think, one teacher, one girl, one pen, something, but really good messenger for this cause. Another impact of education also equips women to face the most dramatic climatic changes. A 2013 study found that educating girls is the single most important social and economic factor associated with the reduction in vulnerability to natural disasters. Also turns out to be true in India. The single most important. That's pretty amazing. It's a conclusion drawn from examining the experiences of 125 countries since 1980 and echoes other analysis. Educated girls and women have a better capacity to cope with shocks from natural disasters and extreme weather events, and are therefore less likely to be injured, displaced, or killed when one strikes. When a natural disaster strikes. This decreased vulnerability also extends to their children, families, and the elderly. So the entire family unit benefits when girls are educated. There are, of course, barriers, and the barriers are real, but so are the solutions, which is good news. The most effective approaches concurrently tackle access, school affordability, proximity, and sustainability and suitability for girls, and quality, good teachers and good learning outcomes. Mobilizing communities to support and sustain progress on girls' education is a powerful accelerant. The encyclopedic book, What Works in Girls' Education, maps out 7 areas of interconnected interventions. Here are a few points. Make schools affordable, for example, provide family stipends for keeping girls in school, help girls overcome health barriers, for example, offer deworming treatments, very important, reduce the time and distance to get to school, for example, provide girls with bicycles, so simple. Make schools more girl-friendly, for example, offer childcare programs for young mothers. Improve school quality, for example, invest in more and better teachers. Increase community engagement, for example, train community education activists. Sustain girls' education during emergencies, for example, establish schools in refugee camps. So there are many NGOs which are sincerely adopting all these steps to reduce barriers. And we already saw in the last podcast that there is a systematic relation in most of the world, across most of the world, between children per woman versus average years of schooling of women in reproductive age. So as number of schooling years increases, fertility rate drops, which is already well known and well established and well observed. But child mortality versus mean years of schooling also shows a similar relation, where child mortality drops even faster when the average year of total education goes up. And now we also know that when child mortality goes up, fertility rates go down. Sorry, when child mortality goes down, fertility rates also go down. Okay. Other good news, literate and illiterate world population. Since 1800, the illiterate world population has dropped continuously, and literate world population has increased, but obviously it's unevenly distributed. Out of school girls of primary school age by world region, from 1990 to 2014, sub-Saharan Africa remains recalcitrant in terms of keeping girls in school, but rest of the world is showing a remarkable decrease, especially South Asia, in terms of keeping girls in school. Okay. Literacy rate by country by 2011, you can see obviously rich countries have high literacy rates, and even country like India or many countries in Africa show reasonably high literacy rates, which is great because usually that also means literacy rate for girls. Overall, 2 solutions, family planning and girls' education, influence family size and global population, educating girls and family planning. Because the exact dynamic between these solutions is impossible to determine, our models allocate 50% of the total potential impact to each goal, educating girls and family planning. We assume that these impacts result from 13 years of schooling, including primary through secondary education. According to the United Nations Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization, or UNESCO, which takes a lot of beating, by closing an annual financing gap of $39 billion, universal education in low and lower middle income countries can be achieved. It could result in 59.6 gigatons of emission reductions by 2050. The return on that investment is incalculable. So, educate girls. Straight and simple, incredibly no regret solution.